Okay, hello. Today we're going to be talking about politics. It's a big issue, but it seems that politics centers around consumption. So we're going to talk about conservatism, capitalism, and communism. These are the primary influences on Earth. So with conservatism, the Egyptians wanted to conserve their culture and their society and their isms and their myths and all these different things before they fell or came out of their influence politically or how Egyptians seen life. Now if you go to Egypt, it's primarily Islamic. Conservatism can be a good thing and a bad thing. The Romans wanted to conserve their republic or their democracy, and in doing so, when Christianity came along, there was a residue left over of the bureaucratic, spiritual, mythological world of the Romans and the Greeks and the Phoenicians and all that stuff. And this sort of poured into Christianity, and Christianity, or the Holy Roman Empire, they had multiple demons, they had multiple angels, they had multiple saints. So because Rome didn't want to go down because of the importance of Parmenides or Socrates or Aristotle or Plato, and didn't want to completely destroy these things for just Christianity, and that Christianity would, and there was a time during the Dark Ages where a lot of these philosophers were forgotten about and Christianity was the primary influence. Now probably in secret, people still learnt about Aristotle and Plato and Socrates and stuff like that, but it was the old world, and the thing is that the old world was not being conserved. So with here's an example of how conservatism can be good. With First Nation people trying to conserve their languages. In conserving their languages, they may not have the power of a conservative Christian or a conservative Muslim, but they're still a conservative. They're trying to conserve the Red Road, or the protocols associated with Hopi, or the protocols associated with Apache, or whatnot. So conserving at an ism or conservatism, the primary focus is to make sure that things are kept the same. And if things are kept the same, then there's no room for progress. So because there's a new civilization and a new society and new innovation and new technology, that doesn't mean that because the Romans became Christian that they're going to abandon the wheel, or that the circle is evil. It means that Christianity has to basically accept the wheel as part of their empire, or their kingdom, or their society, or their civilization. So part of the problem that our society is going through is that technology has become so advanced and stuff like that, that these old ways of living for a Buddhist, for a Muslim, for a Hindu, for a Christian, we're moving so fast now that information is going over, and it's threatening the structure of these conservatisms. Not conservatisms, but religions and old ways of life and stuff like that. So as long as we realize that conserving an ism is essential to living our life and having this information to rely on, to learn from. It's like a wise man learns from his mistakes. A wiser man learns from others' mistakes. So it's like that saying: if we don't pay attention to history, history will repeat itself. So it's important to have conservatism in our society and in our civilization. And the problem is that everybody wants to go in a direction as it's associated to their tradition or their conservatisms. Okay, capitalism. Okay, capitalism. Okay, I got a new microscope, and I wait a couple years, and then a newer microscope comes out. I got a new telescope. I'll wait a couple years, and then a newer telescope comes out. Capitalism, you could associate it to material progress and material advancement, and how important that is to the human being. The Egyptians, the Romans, the Muslim world, the European world, the Asian world. Technology has been a thing that these old worlds have used to fight in war and fight in battle and stuff like that. So technology is very much interwoven into the conflicts of old worlds, and capitalism is part of the reason why societies build up and become strong and become powerful, because they embrace new technologies, they embrace new information, they have to go through a gambit. They used to have to go through a gambit like Galileo and gravity. Sorry, I'm stumbling through this. I'm not really much of a politician or into politics. So capitalism can be associated to a pet psychologist, or a horse chiropractor, or a new cell phone that becomes obsolete in 6 months. The problem with capitalism is that things become too cluttered and too piled into, and then people resort to conservatism. They're like, we need to stop innovation, we need to stop invention, we need to stop material progress, because it's starting to corrupt their kids, it's starting to corrupt their children. So basically capitalism is about identifying the material and ideological universe or world, and selling it, making money of it on a private level. Capitalism opens up the door for new money, and like Bill Gates, for example, is new money. He may have been influenced by old money, or may have been invested in by old money, but he's new money. So capitalism clutters up the planet, and the thing is if there's too many decisions and too many people owning a business or a land or a private business, then it makes the normal average everyday citizen or civilian feel like they don't own their society, like they don't own. It's like the new designer jeans own them. It's like the new cell phone owns them. It's like the new computer owns them. It's like the new car owns them. It's like, I have a Ferrari, I have a Lamborghini, so this is what I represent. This is who I am as a person. And it's like teenage kids just learning about money and wanting fashion and stuff like that, or a little kid wanting the new chocolate or the new candy or something like that. I want to try this candy. I want to try that candy. I remember when I was a kid, when I had money, it was like candy. and the thing is that with capitalism, there's all these different isms. There's all these different things that are in the medical field, in the science field, in the religious field, spiritual field, new age field. And the thing is that we have all this technology, we have all this innovation, we have all this clutter, we have all these things that are fashionable and then become obsolete, and we're dumping all over the planet. So if the isms are identified, and we have them at our disposal, and the American experiment or the European experiment or the capitalistic experiment has run its course, and we have everything that we could possibly think of, that it's almost like we're causing more harm now than good. So capitalism may have run its course because it's too cluttered now with garbage. I don't mean garbage like bad ideas. I mean garbage like garbage. A lot of people they get this new toy, and then they want that new toy, and then they want this new thing, and always wanting something new, and always wanting something fresh, and always wanting something. It's like the variety of life is the variety is the spice of life. So basically, capitalism is about identifying the material world and the ideological world, and isolating it, capping it, putting it on the shelf, and say, I got pet psychologist here, I got horse psychology here, I got therapeutic foot massage material here. There's room for advancement here, so we'll make that an ism that needs to be refined and identified. So with capitalism, we have all these things identified and isolated and capped and put on the shelf. And the thing is, because we're perfectionists, or that humanity wants perfection, the end result is clutter and garbage and unsatisfaction. It's like you can't be satisfied. It's like it's associated to the consumption. Like right now, you're consuming these words. You're consuming your food for breakfast. You're consuming the stop sign as you're driving through downtown Calgary. So consumption has become too rampant, and we don't realize that we're consuming. We're like mindlessly like a vacuum, like a black hole that's just consuming. And we have all this clutter, and we have this density of consciousness right now. So it leads me to the feeling that the human being does not feel like they own themselves anymore. It's like they don't know how to go out into the bush and fast for 4 days for a vision quest, to identify how they could help society, how they can help their family. So people don't feel like they own their society, they don't own their life. It's like they wake up and say, I gotta get this, I gotta get that, I gotta get this. So if everything has been isolated and identified and brought to the surface to look at, we need communism. We conserve isms like Jesus, Buddha, Allah. We conserve these isms, and with new money and new innovation, and scientific exploration, we cap isms, and the end result is that we have to have a society that people feel like they own the society that they live in, that they own the products that they buy. Right now, the capitalism owns people. So if we commune the isms, what you have is in my opinion, we should have a cosmopolitan of Earth, where there's Muslims, Buddhists, Christians, Red Road followers, Hindus, Zen Buddhists, Sikhs. We need to basically allow humanity to have these conservatisms. We need to allow humanity to conserve these isms. And if people were able to conserve these isms, they would have a sense of ownership. Now the thing is that Christianity likes to think that it owns America. But there's people on the left that think that the state or the states is more important than the theology of the Christian utopic socialism, or the pilgrims, or the New World, or the new Christianity, or the safe place for Christianity from the old world, where the purity of Christianity can be expressed. So you have Muslims that have material progress, and they think they own that part, and they do. You have Buddhists that have material progress, and they think that they own that part, and they do. You have Christians that have material progress, and they think they own that part, and they do. So what about the First Nations? What about the Sikhs? What about the Hindus? What about the Congo tribe, or the Ghanese tribe, or the tribes in all these people that are being crushed by these juggernauts of ownership? It's almost like if you don't see it our way, in our direction, then you're not part of the ownership. And if you're not part of the ownership, you're doomed to hell, or you're doomed to suffer. So we need to conserve isms. I think that we have come to a point where we have capped enough isms to sit back and digest as humanity. So we need to commune the isms. Now the thing is that the number one issue right now on the planet is consumption. Consumption can be associated to conservative diets, capitalistic isolations of healthy all-around diets, and the need for a global community to recognize and represent the people that need clean drinking water, the people that need nutrition, that need education on the material world. So nation building, the thing is with nation building, we have people that will want to own the nation. And humanity needs to come to a point where we realize that consumption is the base necessity that drives conservatism, that drives capitalism, that drives communism. And how do we make the world one? Now, I'm not trying to save the world, I'm just giving a perspective. And if this perspective is adequate, there's liberalism, there's democracy, there's theocracy, there's tradition, there's culture, there's social protocols, there's religious protocols. Now, how do we get humanity to feel like we own this planet? That comes down to the rich. It comes down to the rich. Like, how can the rich, considering the hard work that they've done throughout the ages, and the hard work they haven't done throughout the ages, and the master-slave activity within our civilization, and how people have made money and accumulated money off the exploitation of uneducated, illiterate people. Like, how much has religion been used globally to isolate humanity? And I heard this thing in a hip-hop song yesterday. It was better to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million people. But now we live in a society where we can kill 1 million people and we don't need to control them. And thinking like that, if we live in a society where everything has been identified, everything has been neutralized, and the rich have the ability to just push the big red button and kill everybody, then what we have is we have a crisis situation on Earth of leadership, of prejudice, of pride, of lack of direction. So we need to conserve isms. We have capped and identified a lot of isms, but when it comes to the universe, there's a lot of capitalistic pursuits that are reasonable. So for me, the way I think, when we pursue the universe as a diverse humanity moving in multiple directions, when it comes to space, when it comes to the universe, capitalism is healthy for the universe, but it's not healthy for here on Earth. And if it's not healthy for here on Earth, what we have is we have a desire to to make people feel like they own the TD Tower, that they own the Royal Bank Tower, that they own the Scotia Centre, that they own the Calgary Stampede, that they own the country of Canada. And the thing is that there's people up there that think that they own it. And part of this distress that's happening in our world is we have leaders that are representing the owners and not representing the subjects. So it's, maybe we need a king, maybe we need a queen. This is all about consumption. Right now there's a kid dying of the AIDS virus, starving to death, 2 years old, with no mom or dad, and doesn't even have the concept to pray and ask for help. So this is the instinct to parent, and I'll get to that in a future video. This video has been dedicated to the empowerment of the Red Road and keeping your home fires strong.